Conversations reaching you live from the studios of the Nigerian Television Authority. And my name is Elizabeth. I'd like to ask, how did you spend your holiday? It was a long weekend for every one of us. Well, for some of us still worked. But then, in doing all that, I'm sure that you'll be able to remember that health is paramount. For a long while now, we've been discussing health, COVID-19, and for Nigeria, sadly, the number is still increasing from all fronts. People are dying, people are testing positive, different states, getting the numbers heightened. One of the things I know that run across, in fact, one thing I know the doctors will always talk about is immune system. A little baby asked me sometime, what the heck about immune system? And I looked up, I looked down. I'm not sure I gave her a very good answer. But today on Conversation, we're going to chew the immune system, answer the question, what the heck about the immune system? What does it mean? And all that put together. Well, when I say we, what we do here is conversations. So we sit back and chat. We have a doctor in the house, a public health specialist. She's been with us, but that was a long time ago when you went off to Uganda. Dr. Zippo. You went off to Uganda. How was Uganda?
It was good.
Off camera I was saying that you were lucky. You came in just before COVID, occurred. It would have caught up with you.
And it wouldn't have been funny being caught up in another person's country during this lockdown. So I'm really happy to be back. And good morning, viewers.
Okay. And we still have Devan Mom. I'm trying to say the way you always do.
Mom. The name is Mom, Divine Mom.
All right.
And it's good to be here. It's been a while.
Okay, it's been a while, really. I'm sure you've been able to rest a little bit.
Oh, I've rested. I've been doing other things, of course.
I know you. Are you telling me? That one cannot be idle.
Yeah, so I may be off TV, but I'm very, very busy in my personal life.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so we'll get to find out what she's been doing and if she's been doing it right to build the immune system as we go on. Don't forget, our program today is focused on building the immune system. What does it mean, by the way? But before we get all that done, we'll take a break. When we come back, we launch ourselves fully into the show.
The lockdown, as announced by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, are effective from 4th May 2020 in Abuja, Lagos, and Ogun states. For public spaces, the following are mandatory: improvised face masks, temperature checks, hand washing facilities and hand sanitizers, physical distance of at least 2 meters, no sporting activities and mass gathering. On travel, these are prohibited: passenger flights, interstate travel except essential services, movement of agro products and petroleum products. Note, there will be mandatory supervised isolation of returnees for at least 14 days. For markets and offices, neighborhood markets are to open 3 times a week from the hours of 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Banks and financial services are to open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Government offices are open only to staff from grade level 14 to 17 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Corporate offices and private sector are open to business from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Schools, churches, mosques, clubs, bars and gardens remain closed till further notice. COVID-19 is real. Take responsibility and stay safe.
I said this conversation, and today immune system is our focus. But then I want to go straight to the doctor. I understand immune system to mean a whole lot of things. For me, it's just being well. I don't know if I'm okay. Doc, what is immune system?
Okay, so speaking generally, the immune system is the body's defense against germs. So if we look at your body as Nigeria, then, the soldiers that defend us from invaders that come in,
Okay.
you know, are our immune system. So it's a system, part of our body, that just works together to keep us safe and healthy. So simply put, that's what the immune system is.
Okay, well, this immune system, a lot of times we are confused. Are there people who are primarily, born with low immune system? Somebody was telling me she was sick and they told her immune system is low. I don't know if you ever heard that before. Are there people who naturally come out with a poor immune system?
Okay, so generally, the immune system is made up of cells, and organs in the body with proteins that come together to fight germs.
Protein?
Proteins, yes.
Just the
in our
same
body.
type we have
like
in
chemicals.
egg?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like chemicals in our body, proteinous chemicals in our body that come together to fight germs. So we have these cells, different kinds of cells. You have those that we call B cells, B lymphocytes, and then you have the T lymphocytes. So these are white blood cells that are in our blood circulating, and then in the organs, and they, keep us from, or at least protect us from invading organisms. But there are times that some people, they have certain conditions that make it difficult for them to form these cells that now protect the body. So there are certain disease conditions that make that to happen. And so, something that you would just react to within a day or two, you come up with antibodies to fight the infection. It will take them longer because, their body is not producing the cells as quickly as possible. Sometimes it is also that, like I said, cells are made up of protein mostly. And so when you have some, deficiency in protein, some kind of malnutrition, it will also affect the way you respond and build up immunity. And then there are also some micro elements, we call them vitamins, minerals that are essential for us to build, for these cells to build up in our body, and then for it to develop or to, build up proteins that help us to fight germs. So when you are deficient in some of those microelements, your response is delayed or is hampered or it doesn't happen at all. And then in that case, we say that your immunity is low.
I don't know if you've heard, some people will tell you to build your immune system. You need to do a lot of fruits and vegetables. Now I'm hearing extra protein. It never really occurred to me. I thought mostly protein was for those who are, that song, I'm on protein diet, to try to lose weight.
I don't know the song. I don't know the song, but what I know is from listening to her, I just kept telling myself, okay, this is one of those times when you really wish, despite the fact that you're a pure art student, you had really listened to the teachers when they were teaching you about health science and biology, and you were not just sitting there and saying, okay, let me just write this exam and pass and go, But I think coming from a layman's perspective, and I don't know, the doctor will be able to throw more light on this, there's the perception that some people are born more robust than others, even without underlying health conditions. For instance, and maybe it's not something that we just pull out of the sky. You can have children, of course they're coming from the same gene pool. Then there's this person that never gets sick. There's this other person who does not have any underlying health anything, but is always sick, coming down with a fever, malaria. If there's a rash, that's the first person that will get it, and so on and so forth. So I think over time, some people come to the conclusion that, okay, some people are born naturally more robust than others health-wise. And then, of course, for those who are the Superman type of, there are some people who just never get sick.
Definitely.
No matter what, they just never seem to get sick. They might complain of a headache every now and then and all that, but they pop a Panadol or two and they're fine again and so on. Then there are these people who seem to have signed a pact with hospitals that I'll help you to make money or something. And you begin to wonder, for these people who will pick up any sickness that is lying anywhere, is there anything that they can do that would really matter, or it's their lot in life and they should just accept it and roll with the punches?
I actually cue into what you say. Remember when I talked about weight management? And I mentioned that when I was small, I was always helping my parents, help doctors get money, because I was always in the hospital. And it's not like...
And no underlying health condition.
I don't have anything, really. But it's like my mom will always say, what's wrong with you? When Kata is passing, you're saying, hello.
I'm right here.
You haven't visited here. Malaria is passing, hello. You haven't visited me. I'm your customer.
Here am I.
It's like anything, and at the point I was really scared. Is it still part of the immune system, just like you asked?
Okay, so there are several things that come together that eventually make you get an ailment or allow the germ to enter you and then, to overtake your immune system and then cause disease in you. So it's not only the immune system that does this. Sometimes, so let's take, for example, there are some people who their genotype is AA. There are those, their genotype is AS. When it comes to diseases like malaria, the AS person is actually more resistant to the Plasmodium.
I'm AA.
So you that is AA, you're more likely to come down with malaria
more often
than somebody who is. So it's not only about the immunity. It also has a lot to do with your psychic, your state of mind, and that also affects the way your body, your immune response. So for people who are positive, always outgoing, they can do this, they are always, somehow that tells their body that, look, you're up to this, you can withstand this. And so what would ordinarily bring somebody down, but because your mind is psyched up, you find that you're able to overcome even that. It's only when it becomes overwhelming that you find that.
Interrupt here, sorry, before I lose my train of thought. Would it therefore, if somebody who is a melancholic, for instance, that person is maybe more likely to succumb to illness than somebody who is maybe a choleric or sanguine?
So the way it does, the mind, we have known for a very long time, has control over the body. So if your mind is telling you, oh no, you drank that dirty water, there is no way you're not going to come down with diarrhea, guess what? The next minute you're running to the toilet.
Seriously?
Even though it's got nothing to do with the water, but your mind has already told your body that you're going to get sick because you did this. So the mind is has a very powerful control over the body. So if you say to yourself, I don't have energy, I can't get out of this bed today, I'm not moving an inch, you will see that all of your energy is sapped, and you will not because you're sick, but because your mind has told your body, and therefore your body is responding to the messages that your mind is sending to it. Right? So it's very powerful. But that is not to say that there aren't conditions that will predispose one to becoming more sick, to becoming more easy. Let's take this COVID-19 that we're talking about. If you're over 65, that's just your age, right? And you have an underlying condition, you're more likely to get infected. And when you get infected, the course it runs is likely to be more severe than if it is a young person. So that's just age. So like I said, so many things can impact the way you respond to a germ, right? And a lot of the time one is not able to pinpoint and say, this is the only reason why I am doing this. So many things come together. And then one of the things is even the infecting dose of the organism, that the germ that is infecting you. If it is a small, tiny little, your body can just overcome that. But if it is huge, no matter how big your immunity is, you can calm down. And then the mode of the way you get infected, if it is injected directly into your blood, but if it is on the surface, the skin is actually also part of our immune system. Yes.
The skin is also...
It is part of it. The skin, your mucous membranes and all of that, they're all part of your immune system, and they help to protect you against germs. So if it is something that just splashes on your skin and you don't have a wound or something, it will wash away and you won't come down with anything. So many things come together to determine eventually whether you get down with an ailment or you're able to continue to work and you overcome it. But certainly the immune system plays a huge role.
All right, the immune system plays a huge role, but like you mentioned, certain things can affect those immune system. I'd like to ask, lifestyle changes, our daily lifestyle, what are those things we do to, militate or bring down the level of our immune system? What are those things? Because I know that personally, if I don't sleep well, and my well has a certain number, how many hours do you sleep?
It depends.
You used to be a politician. I'm sure you're still one. Politicians don't sleep well.
Ordinarily, about 7 hours.
7 hours.
That's good.
That's a good one.
That's good.
All right. Yeah. If I do less than 7, actually, I don't coordinate well. Yeah. If I do less than sometimes 6, okay, I will still, it's pardonable, but it mustn't happen every day. But beyond 6, 7 hours, any other thing less than that, you're talking to me in the daytime, I feel like vapor is in my brain. So I don't know if that also affects the immune system. When it's that way, is my immune system, under attack or something? I don't know. What are other things we can do to help to bring it down?
Okay, so why don't I talk on the positive side?
Okay.
Let's talk about those things that can help your immune system.
Yeah, but the negative one will also be nice, because there are some people...
So the corollary will then be those things that will bring it down. Okay. Right? Yeah. And so, when you talk to people, when you have conversations, people are always talking, I need to get this supplement or that one. I hear is an immune booster. Meaning that if you don't take those supplements, your immune system will go down, right? And so there may be some truth to that, but I'm not sure. And science generally is not usually very supportive of some of those things that people say, and a lot of the time they come up with herbs and so on that have not been researched, and nobody is able to say what the active ingredient is, so we're a bit skeptical about that. But generally, things that we do to keep us healthy will automatically build your immunity. And therefore, if you do things that, will not make you healthy, it means it will also bring down your immunity. So what are some of the things that we do that keep us healthy, that can boost our immunity? So the first one is make sure you eat the right things, right, at the right time. So fruits, vegetables, very essential. They have to be part of your meal.
Fruits,
Protein,
vegetables.
yes, fruits and vegetables. Remember I talked about those tiny
Vitamins.
vitamins, yes, and minerals, that you need them, actually not in large quantity, but you need them so that some of those chain reactions that happen in your body that will help you to fight the germ, requires these minerals and vitamins. So fruits, vegetables, essential. Then protein. The cells, after water, the next ingredient is protein, that is used to manufacture those cells. And your cells, even those B and T lymphocytes that I talked about, are continually being turned over. And so you need to take, so just take an adequate diet that contains the varieties of foods that we usually talk about in the right proportions. So
When you say
that will
right
help.
proportion, I was talking with somebody. In fact, it was a WhatsApp talk. It's on my phone, but I can't read it now. She told me in the morning she had avocado and a handful of avocado and 2 boiled eggs with water. For lunch, she said she did 2 eggs again, a bit of a cabbage. Then for dinner, fish tail, and she's almost 50. I'm like, babe, are you planning suicide mission or something?
I was about to ask what diet is this a weight loss thing? Because if it's a weight loss thing, I totally get it. But
Yeah, but
like
if
right
it is
now, I'm wondering where her
normal
energy is coming
diet.
from.
Yeah, but even the eggs, even though most of it is protein and water, you do have some calories in eggs. You can get calories from eggs. And then fish, protein, protein can be converted to energy when you need it. And as you get older, you actually need a lot less carbohydrate and a lot more protein. So if you used to have, let's say your meal is 100%, and you used to have let's say 50% carbohydrates, 25% protein, and then 25% made up of vegetables and fruit, that will give you the 100%. So as you get older, that carbohydrate, you'll need to reduce, the quantity, and then you can increase on the protein and vegetable and fruits,
Let
to make up
me
for
ask
it.
you, which proteins are healthier? Because I've also heard that, as you get older, you have to cut down on red meat. You need to try and avoid maybe some kinds of seafood and all these. And these are proteins, as far as I know. So, and then there was a time eggs were not good for you because their cholesterol
And
did
now-
one kind
now
of
they are
thing.
promoting eggs, yeah.
And then there was a time
Now
that
eggs are
palm oil
good
was
for
making
you.
people go there for blind and all this. Seriously, as one gets older, what kind of proteins are you looking at that are considered healthy? What kinds of carbs are we trying to avoid? Is it the artificial carbs like those found in bread, biscuits,
The
and
refined
highly
ones.
processed foods? Or is it the one in yam, plantain, sweet potatoes and things like that? So which ones are healthy and which ones should be avoided?
Okay, so now the protein is made, has fat, and some of these fats we call them healthy fats, and there are some fats that are not healthy, right? So those fats that are saturated, like the fat you find in beef, goat meat, right? The so-called red meats, right? Is saturated fat. Those ones will just go in and clog your arteries. Okay? And so you want to stay away from that. But most of the time, you know, oils that come from seafood are good. Generally, yes, it contains omega-3 and some other vitamins that help, you know, at least they don't have the kind of effect that the saturated fats have. And so we tend to promote those kinds of fats, and you find a lot of it in, you know, seafood. And then the carbohydrates. So the highly processed carbohydrates are not good because they have removed all of the roughage, which helps in protecting your gut from certain kinds of cancer. Oh. And then also the energy from the highly processed ones, you know, the body extracts it quickly, you know, quickly burns it, and then you find that you're craving more. And so you tend to take more than what you really need. But if you take carbohydrate that has its roughage in it, right, it helps to slow the digestion and therefore slows the absorption, and you know, you absorb it as you need it, not because it is there and has to be quickly removed. So you take our yam. The way we peel our yam actually removes a lot of the things that we should be benefiting
I've heard that thing
from the yam. Yes,
that
from
we should cook the yam whole,
and then just
with the leaves.
Yes.
Okay, like
even the potatoes. If you go to certain restaurants, they just wash the potato
Irish
and cut it. Both.
Okay.
Both. They just wash, cut it, and fry it. They don't.
Yeah, I've heard
you understand?
Those,
they don't. That's because of the roughage that you need in that kind of carbohydrate. It helps with the digestion and with the absorption, and generally, you know, with the health of the body.
Okay.
All right, let me see. We have a bit of questions here. We'll take as much as we can. They're coming in so much. So many of them. Can somebody share face mask with someone?
No. I can't say that without even...
That is not healthy.
No, you don't share face
Nobody
masks.
advises it. And even they tell, even your own, you should wash it. Yes. You don't
iron it.
Keep repeating it. Yes. So you wash it and you iron it before you reuse it.
Okay, she's actually asking again whether we can, you know, wash and reuse. So you already answered that question.
Yes, yes.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take more questions. And don't forget, immune system is our focus. When we come back, as much as we take the question, we'll also be looking at the immune system to ensure that we don't cause ourselves damage and expose ourselves unnecessarily. The show is Conversation, but let's take a break now.
Of the coronavirus pandemic, information management is key.
I'm Cyril Stober.
Fatima Umar Buba.
Joseph Johnson.
Ian Ray John.
Muhammad Kudu Abubakar.
Jumbo Yusuf.
My name is Kirian Umaya.
Here in NTA, we're working very hard to make sure that everything we broadcast is accurate and up to date. Misinformation spreads very fast.
The social media has been a huge conveyor of misleading information from one individual to another, then to another set of groups. In a short while, it goes viral, and before you know it, it is all over the world.
There have been several misleading information on coronavirus COVID-19. Recently, the misconception of 5G as a cause of coronavirus is becoming widespread. Another is the belief that hot beverages and alcoholic drinks are internal cleanser for COVID-19, thereby leading to excessive consumption of these drinks.
The use of local concoctions as treatment for COVID-19 are yet to be scientifically proven. However, there has been several theories about the efficacies of these concoctions. We should stay safe and denounce all manner of fake news and misleading information on COVID-19.
For medical advice, go on the WHO website, Nigeria Center for Disease Control NCDC website, or stick with the advisories from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 or other authentic official sources. NCA is one of them.
All right, it's still conversations, and we did say that we have loads of questions coming in. We'll take them as much as we can. And somebody's writing in from Otopo in Benue State and is asking Dr. Kwamo to explain how malaria affects different genotype. We already talked about it. From the same person, he says, what food do we eat to boost the immune system? So I'll let you just take two of them at the same time.
Okay. So I was citing the example of malaria and genotype just to say that there are several factors in the body that determine how we respond to disease, and one of the common ones is we know that in Nigeria we have a number of the sickle cell gene is very common, and so when you have an AS, that is the person has the A and sickle cell trait, the person is more resistant to the falciparum malaria, falciparum type of malaria that is common here in Nigeria too. So you will find then that the person that is AA does not have the S whatever, so that protection is not there, and so that person is more likely to come down with malaria. But we're not saying that the protection is in the S, because if you then go to people who are SS, you find that they are also more prone to malaria. But somehow the combination between the A and the S provides some kind of protection. Immune. Yes.
Okay.
That that protects you from the falciparum type of malaria. And then with regards to the kinds of food that we eat to boost our immunity, so remember I talked about the vegetables and the fruits, and we thank God that in Nigeria every season we have some kind of fruit that is in season, and then you have the very common vegetables that if it is just where you pour out the water that you wash your plates, if you go around there, you will find some edible vegetable.
Yeah, they grow on their own.
Yes, they grow on their own. So these are things that help to boost immunity, and therefore we should be using them. I know that many people will say, oh, supplements, we buy this, you buy that, you buy that. Supplements are expensive. If you spend just 1/10 of the money that you would spend on a supplement in buying fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and eating, you will have enough of those minerals and vitamins that you will need to boost your body's immunity.
I always think some people will tell you that it's still expensive to buy this vegetable, and I say plant it in your homes. Some will say we live in an apartment and it's upstairs, there's no soil to
flower
and
pots.
I say you can use a flower pot.
Yes.
Plant
For me, it's about the irony of the fact that in Abuja, for instance, your typical banana fruit is more expensive than plantain.
It's expensive,
and
actually.
it's not like you eat it and be full. In fact, there are people who tell you that fruits serve as appetizers for them.
In fact, it opens the belly now.
You understand? So, you're bringing out maybe 1,500 naira to buy this bunch of bananas, which if you don't clear in 2 days max will go bad. You're not going to get full. You will not be satisfied after eating it. You're still going to eat something else, and so on. So at the end of the day, when people choose to and then based also on your lifestyle, if you're constantly on the go, sometimes fruit, apple, this, you just can't do it. and then you invest in supplements, of which I understand they are far more concentrated per capsule or per tablet or whatever, so that you pop it on the go and move. I know they certainly can't be better than the original thing, but I'm also thinking that, what about lifestyle? What about the way you work? What about the fact that they have a shelf life? If you buy supplements, maybe they're still good for like, 3 years before they expire or whatever, and the duration within which you're going to take them, you cannot get that out of fruits, you can't get it out of vegetables.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not completely against supplements.
Yeah.
They are good ones, because I know there are a lot of scams out there too.
Yeah,
but you know, if you just take a pill of supplement and pop it, it won't be filling.
No, but that's it's not food, so you don't expect it to be filling. But bananas.
So banana, you don't just eat only banana. You add a vegetable. Remember, I talked about having an adequate diet. You have your little protein, and you have your carbohydrate. Put it all together. It provides you with what you need, and it will end up being cheaper than a supplement. Remember that the supplement will give you maybe just 1 or 2 in the concentrations that you need. The others will just be additions that they're putting on to attract you. Unlike when you get the whole meal and you get a lot more out of it. And then the roughage that we talk about, it's also important. It protects against colonic cancer actually. So you get additional advantage from taking fresh vegetables and fruits.
So whatever we do, it's the best bet is to do the natural thing. Leave the supplement until when it's absolutely needed.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
Now, what is the place of stress in managing the immune system?
Yes, and so
because you talked about lifestyle.
Yes.
Some people are just on the go.
Yes.
And some people have this habits of they create schedules. For me, that is it's quite Herculean. They set targets that are only imaginable. At the end of the day, they pressure themselves. Does this add or take away from the immune system?
So stress takes away from the immune system. Remember, we talked about the mind and how the mind so stress has an effect on your emotional and psychological health. And so and then it affects other parts of your lifestyle. When you're stressed, you're not able to eat well, you're not able to sleep well. And we have said
eat extra when they're stressed up.
when
they eat the wrong
eating,
food.
So
Yes.
when they're eating extra, it does not necessarily mean they're eating well.
Yes.
So the difference is eating well.
Okay.
And then when you're stressed, even the exercise that you would ordinarily do just to rejuvenate yourself, you find that you're either overdoing it or you don't have the energy to do that at all. So stress affects different aspects of your life which have an impact on your immunity. So invariably, when you're stressed, you find that your immunity goes down. And I give myself as an example. When I'm stressed, automatically I get a runny nose.
A runny nose.
A runny nose.
If it's not, they'll call it COVID.
They will call it COVID. So this is just to tell you that I'm not stressed in any way. But when I am stressed, I get a runny nose.
Okay.
Even before exploring what to do or how stress affects us, what is stress? If we are to define it, what would you say it is?
Well, I would just say that it's a condition that, puts undue pressure on your systems, such that your system either, over or underreacts in order to cope with that pressure, right? So any condition that puts undue pressure on your system, and then your system has to do some other things in order to cope, that I would call stress.
All right, somebody says, good morning, doctor. I am always sick of typhoid almost every 2 weeks, and I take typhoid drugs. What could be the cause? And this is a, I don't know.
Yes.
Is it possible to have typhoid
No,
every
it's
2
not.
weeks?
See, there was a time,
It's not.
There was a time I had that situation where I was treating typhoid.
I like you're putting it in quotes
Yes,
because
it is a quote.
There's a reason I put it in quotes. Because I go to the hospital, I get tested, and it would come out positive for typhoid. So there was a time when I figured, let me just change my doctor. Let me go elsewhere. I went to. At this point, I was paranoid. You couldn't get me to eat something I had not cooked myself. And because I had a very grueling schedule, sometimes I'd come to work in the morning and close late at night. I'd stay hungry for long stretches of time. And with the attendant, I got to National Hospital and I met this doctor. I said, Doctor, I don't know what to do anymore. I treat typhoid on an average of 4 or 5 times a year. And the man screamed.
yes. Yeah, we're eating
Because
from the gutters.
the medicine that you use to treat typhoid is very toxic.
I said it's not that I just sit down and think I have typhoid and go and buy medication and take. Every time I go for tests, he said, did they test your stool? I said, no, they do blood test and they tell me I have typhoid and malaria. It's always typhoid
And malaria. Yes.
He said, if you get typhoid 3 times in a year, chances are very good you will die.
Yeah.
You have not been getting typhoid on an average of 4 or 5 times a year for the past 3-4 years. Malaria perhaps, but not typhoid. And that also helped my mind, which helps my body in the long run. Because he told me you don't have typhoid. 90% of the time, every bacterial infection from the gut, they just say, they just put typhoid there and send your blood.
Because it's common.
Rest assured, you are not having typhoid 4 or 5 times a year. And this guy says he's treating typhoid every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
There's something wrong.
Doctor, please.
Even the medication is enough to cause a lot of damage. But really, you cannot have typhoid and be walking around, walking around as in walking into a hospital and then they do a test and they say you have typhoid and then you carry the result and walk out. Typhoid is a very serious illness that is debilitating. A lot of the time, if you have typhoid, you're going to be admitted immediately, and the drugs will be intravenous until a time that you're able to take orally, and then they will change. So it's a very serious illness. It's not an illness that anybody walking in the street, flinging a lab result and saying it is wrong. So when you come in contact with the organism that causes typhoid, your body produces antibodies, and so when they do the blood test, they take the antibody, they see that antibody, and then automatically they say that you have antibody. But what they should be looking at is how much of that antibody is in your blood. And as we talk about immunity, one of the things that the B lymphocytes do is to produce these antibodies, against every kind of organism that you come in contact with. And when you get better, some of it remains in your blood and is circulating, so that the next time you get infected with the same organism, it quickly activates these antibodies. Yes, so that they will, come and just ward off the infection and protect you. So what the lab people do is to now test, and then they see this remaining antibody
and tell you there is a typhoid. It's the same thing with this guy, the usual culprit, staphylococcus. Once you go to this in the test, they say staph. A lot of time it's not even
staph on your body. Yes. So if they took it,
staphylococcus aureus,
so that they will make you
big name,
come out with plenty of money. But really, if they took the sample wrongly, and it rubs up on your skin. We have stuff on our skin.
And they're protective, right? Like you said, antibodies.
We have it. So if the swab touches, and it will come up with staph aureus.
All right,
Right?
doctor.
So it's not something to be treated if it is not inside your blood. Yes.
All right, doctor. We are at the moment, going through a pandemic. We call it the coronavirus or COVID-19, and a lot of times the immune system has been linked with it. I need you to, explain the collaboration. What has the immune system got to do with COVID-19?
Yeah. So the way that the immune system reacts is that when it comes across a germ, it mobilizes, by either producing chemicals, proteins, antibodies, we call them, to, either neutralize the organism, or, there are cells that come swallow the infected organism and so on, infected cell, and thereby removing it from circulation. So that, so the immune system reacts, to a challenge by germs. However, in COVID, the way that your immune system reacts is in such a way that it overwhelms your body. So it overreacts. And it is that overreaction that then causes destruction of your lungs. Yes. So it is actually the reaction of your body that makes the COVID-19 virus infection worse. Right?
Yes.
But so if you have an immune system that is slow, does not react, and so on, so you're more likely to wade, the infection. But if your immune system is active, it's called into play, it will produce a reaction that will then cause more damage to your lung than the virus itself.
Not with us, but Mrs. Faith Ezekiel sends several questions like what kind of cereals adults should take, what kind of plant oil is good, and then I think that's generally that. Faith Ezekiel, cereals, I don't know.
Whole grain.
Whole grain.
That's what we call
including
them.
oatmeal.
Yes,
Okay.
oatmeal. It has to be whole grain. Don't take the processed ones.
What's the difference? Which one is whole grain and which
So whole grain has some of the roughing. It's not polished.
Yeah.
Unlike the processed ones. Let's take our rice, for instance. You have this beautiful brown rice. That has,
all the nutritional content.
yes, on it. But because it is not white, and somehow we have been psyched to think that white rice is the best, you go and polish that brown rice and make it white. But in polishing, you've removed most of the nutritional value.
But if you cook
So if
rice
it was
white and brown, white is always more inviting.
that is it. So we're looking at the eyes. Yeah, it's sight. It's sight. But
Because when
really,
you cook jollof rice, it's not white anymore.
Yeah, I think
And
it's in
there
the
are-
and we
blend.
still eat.
We still eat it.
You know?
And there are people who will not eat rice and stew. If you hold a pistol to their head, they prefer
Jollof rice.
But you cannot get them to substitute white rice for
With
brown,
brown rice.
because brown rice looks odd.
Okay, so we learn every day. From Asaba Lawrence is asking, Mommy, please, you were saying that potato and yam are best prepared without peeling it. Please, I'm not clear on that.
Okay. So, just so that we can maintain and keep the nutritional value of potatoes and rice and get the best out of that, out of that foodstuff. It should be prepared whole. And I'm not here advocating that we should eat yam with
The peels.
You know, so we
Actually,
after
somebody
you
asked
have
again
it,
here now.
Roasted, you can.
If it's roasted, you
Yeah.
can eat the peel.
because
Yes.
you
You
scrape
get to
off
scrape it up.
and then you can eat. So there are instances where you do that. That is what happens in potatoes. You just clean the back, remove the dirt, and you can eat it whole like that with the peel. You know, so it's possible.
And it's actually sweeter because I recall my grandma, when she was alive, you know, they had those small round yam she gets from the farm. She boils it with potato, pepper sauce, pepper and onion sauce. We had this fun popping it out. You go like, it goes pop.
In my language, I think those yams are called Bapostoli.
I don't recall the name.
I don't know why.
I don't recall the name, but it's been wonderful having you on the show. And I wish we had more time. A lot of questions here. We will get to reply you. Doctor will sit back a little bit and reply you, directly, not on air now because our time is up. But rest assured that you get your response as soon as possible. The show is Conversations. I will be speaking with Dr. Zipporah Bamo. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
And I'm not going to introduce mom because I don't know.
It's been a wonderful one. Nice learning experience.
Yes.
And I hope people enjoyed talk today.
All right, we'll see you again next week. The show is Conversations, coming your way with everything discussable. I'm Elizabeth, and the station or channel is the Nigerian Television Authority, the largest TV network in Africa. Be good citizens, and very importantly, love yourself, take care of yourself, give yourself good health. Bye for now.